Hey guys, this is Zen. Today we're gonna go over Frostfang Barioth hand and talk about how to deal with each attack, effective build, and some interesting strategy. I'm using Sword and Shield in this video, which is my main weapon, but I think this video would be useful for other melee weapons as well. Also, I'm gonna quickly go over his gears at the last of the video. So let's get going. Starting with his hit zones, here you see his hit zone values. In general, this is a little tricky compared to other monsters. First, the head and tail is the only part where weakness exploit triggers for severe without a wound. And if you tenderize his wing, arms and wings get on the list where Vex has an effect, but still not that soft. Also, he's not so weak to fire element for his appearance, except its spikes. With these hit zones in mind, let's talk about the build. This one is a pretty normal set using Kiara Fire Sword and Shield. Personally, I don't really like protective polish, so I usually go with Tail Braki set for comfortableness when it's not a speed running. Of course, you can go with 5 pieces of Safi or something like that if you want. This kind of set using Kiara weapons is more effective if you mainly use basic sword attacks, not a perfect rush or falling bash. This kind of fighting style is fairly consistent but lacks the damage a little bit, because his fire hit zones is not so good as I mentioned earlier. There's another option that I would recommend more, which is Frostcraft. As you know, Barioth usually keeps jumping and flying around while fighting, which is annoying, but with Frostcraft, you can make use of that idle time for charging the Frostcraft gauge. This is an example of the set, combination of Velkhana and Braki. As with the normal set I mentioned earlier, I recommend you to keep your crit chance as high as possible, even if you run enough of weakness exploit. Because not only there are not many parts where weakness exploit triggers, but also he moves a lot while fighting and some of your attacks will accidentally hit somewhere other than the part you are aiming at. As for a weapon for Frostcraft, I think Blast would be better because Element does not do much on Falling Bash and Perfect Rush, which are the moves that works better with Frostcraft in terms of the gauge consumption. Now that I've covered his hit zones and builds, let me tell you an interesting strategy for him. As you know, his breath attacks leave sticky ice on the ground and it can get you stuck on it. And your character being in this state triggers him to do this diving attack. Normally you will just get it by the dive, but what if you touch the ice purposely right before it disappears? Yes, you can bait this dive and easily punish it. And this huge opening after this diving attack is a perfect opportunity for Perfect Rush. This is why I recommend Frostcraft. So that's pretty much it for preparation. Now it's time to get on to an actual hunt. Alright, so in this hunt I'm using the Frostcraft set from earlier. And in case you're wondering, this Blast Sword and Shield awakened for Frostcraft can be used to other monsters, so it's worth crafting. And this is my standard opener, claw uppercut onto his face, claw attack 3 times, and worst one, to get a topple while tenderizing its face. And during this topple, you see I just tenderize its arm. During this fight I basically tenderize his arm, not face, because the harder the part originally is, the bigger the benefit from tenderizing. So tenderizing his wings will probably allow you more damage in the fight overall than the head, which is originally soft. And also breaking the arms give you a topple, which is also great. When he spins in the air like this with this particular sound, it means he's gonna do this diving attack from the air. And when he's in rage mode, he does this dive twice, so be careful. And as I said earlier, this is a great chance to hit a perfect rush. And what's important is that I'm not sure about this mechanic, but if you get a certain amount of damage while this opening after the dive, He gets staggered, no matter how much damage you built up beforehand. He got staggered as I just said, and here I purposely made this second input of my perfect rush quicker, so I could land the finisher on its face in time, and I got the first stun. Here I kinda happened to get the timing right, but Okizeme against Barioth is usually really hard because his head moves a lot as he's getting up, and my finisher often gets absorbed into his wings. So I think you don't have to aim to do Okizeme to this monster. And I wondered a bit what I should do with this Clagger, but I decided to re-tenderize the right wing. This straight breath attack is a tricky one. He does this breath twice in a row when he's in rage mode, and the first one targets on you, but second one doesn't at all. He just positions the second breath so he puts you between these two ice lines. So don't try to dodge the second one straight forward or you'll get trapped. And there's another diving. This dagger isn't good, it prevents me from getting my perfect rush. And this sideward breath is an essential one. When he's enraged, he does this twice in a row with a small side step between them. So if you touch the ice that he made first while he's doing the second breath, you will easily bait the diving. But I messed up here. My timing was too late. But there's a second one. And here comes the diving. Wear the evasion mantle quickly and perfect rush. Here, unfortunately, I got the stagger very early and I thought it's impossible to get my finisher on its face. So I just cancelled with a roll and decided to go for the right wing with my charge slash. This is kinda unlucky. And again, it's really difficult to get Okizeme right to him, so you see I messed up here. His rage mode expired here, and while he's not enraged, he does this diving attack only once. So I do perfect rush here and got the head break. I forgot to mention it, but the head break doesn't give you on topple unlike the normal Barioth. So you don't have to worry about the head break too much to him. Since I broke the right wing already, the next is left wing. Again, he has little openings in many of his attacks, so it's valuable to get topples from breaking the arms. And here I do wall swarm to get the topple as well as make him enraged. I feel like he's easier to deal with when he's enraged. Here I don't even need to try to do Okizeme because it's obvious he'll get enraged after this topple. And I can do another punish to this roar. This was kinda mistake, I should have gone for my perfect rush, not a falling bash. But let me talk a little bit about it. Actually, there was a reason I went for falling bash, which is part break. Perfect rush actually has downward modifier on its ability to get stagger or break parts, while charge slash and falling bash has none of such modifiers. And also his wings is weaker to blunt. So my idea behind it was to land my falling bash on his wings and get the wing break. But obviously that was greedy. And I tried another bait here and it worked. Here I made the second input of my perfect rush on the right timing and I missed the finisher. So that was greedy, I should have input the second triangle quicker, but I got a prot break instead. And at this point I gave up doing Okizeme. think I should have gone for my perfect rush here too. This breath attack again that you can use for the bait. But I messed up again. Honestly, I have no idea what I was trying to do here. But good thing about this attack is you can still punish it even if you get it. I suppose many of you already know this, but when his arm is broken, he sleeps after certain moves just like the normal Barioth. But I'm suspicious if this sleep does good to the hand, because he moves a lot while sleeping, making it harder to get to the face or wings. But the topple from the arm break is definitely worth. This is another bait. And that explosion ended the fight. So that's pretty much it for the fight. And I'm sure many of you are wondering about his armor and weapon, so lastly let's go over his gears. Here we have a comparison between Kiara Ice and Frostfang Barioth weapon. Unfortunately, for an elemental set, Kiara Ice is almost always better, mainly because of its innate crit element. So what about the raw set? Sadly, Safi Ice is obviously stronger than it. But this fact doesn't mean this weapon is impractical. Isn't there a monster where the both element and raw is essential? Yes, Alatorium. This weapon is actually pretty useful for fire Alatorium. Alatorium is weaker to raw, but element is essential to weaken his Eschaton Judgment. This is an example of the set. It's totally raw set, but with this innate high element of the weapon, you'll be able to get the elemental topple consistently. And the best thing about this weapon is it can be crafted directly by just hunting Frostfang Barioths a few times. And it would be great for those who are new to this game or have been inactive for a while. So that's it for today. I hope this video helps you. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy.